whether you have attached on the platform and also on the physical platform. Now, colleagues, this is just an example of one, it's a case study, but it is referred to the real, it's a real case study where in one department, as a result of non-compliance with these processes, we found ourselves in one depot having spent 45 million of irregular expenditure. So I'm putting this up so that you also seated here understand the importance of compliance with all the processes that we have undertaken. Colleagues, with that being said, this presentation ends here. However, through questions and answers, there might be more things that you might want to be enlightened of. We cannot say it will take the whole day for us to conclude or to touch on every aspect. But through your questions, we will be able to provide an in-depth responses in this presentation. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Baum Dutens. I think that was very informative. Another round of applause. Now you've seen it, you've been taken through it. How many are keen to participate? How many are convinced in their minds that tomorrow they start their process of compliance and bidding? So you are still not convinced? Hey, poverty is something that is a state of mind, more than a reality that we are confronted with. Ladies and gents, I'm standing between you and lunch. What is going to happen? We're going to take 3 presentations from various departments. They will give you a sense of what they do, what opportunities around the work they do. Take notes, catch them during lunch so that you can probe further in your areas of interest. At this point, I'd like to introduce Umbali Nkosi, representing Catalytic Projects. You will have seen many big projects come out the ground, West Town, Oceans, Banban. This is the team that is responsible for that, and she'll take you through some of the areas of work, where they start, where they end, and what interesting things they do, so that as you prepare yourselves, you are able to understand how you'd potentially participate in the future. Give a round of applause, please.
Thank you, Afika. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. So, good day, everyone. My name is Umbali Nkosi, and I am a program manager at Catalytic Projects. So today, I'll be representing the Catalytic Projects unit. So what is the purpose of the Catalytic Projects unit? Basically, we exist to fast track the implementation of catalytic projects within the city that result in spatial transformation and therefore socio-economic transformation and job creation. So the unit is basically one of the drivers of transformation in the city. How do we achieve our purpose? We do this by fast-tracking the approval of planning applications for catalytic projects. We also provide incentives to developers to attract development within the city and make the city a conducive environment for development. We manage the life cycle of catalytic projects. We resolve any challenges that may arise within departments during the life cycle of the projects. And we also implement the bulk infrastructure that's required to support these catalytic projects. So what exactly is a catalytic project? It's a large-scale spatial transformation project that's implemented in partnership between the public and the private sectors. It has an investment value that's greater than 500 million, and it often requires a blend of financing for both the bulk infrastructure and the top structures. And these projects are also significant contributors to economic growth job creation, and skills revolution. So a few examples of catalytic projects that we work on within the city are West Town Square in Shongweni, which most people should be aware of by now. There's also the Oceans Development in Umhlanga. There's the Avoca Nodal Development along the N2. We also, an example of a completed catalytic project is the Umhlanga Arch. There's the Sibaya Coastal Precinct, which is being implemented in phases. There's also the Giba Business Estate development along the N3 towards Pietermaritzburg. So our involvement with empowering the youth through catalytic projects. The nature of catalytic projects is that they provide economic growth and job creation by increasing economic activities in an area. So the opportunities that have been afforded to youth individuals to date through some of our projects, it's subcontracting. There are subcontracting opportunities through contract participation goals, also employment opportunities during the construction stage of the projects and post-construction once the development starts operating, and skills development. These are the skills that the youth acquire from on-site training programs during construction. Youth empowerment to date through some of our projects. For the Shongweni Urban Development, 3 youth-owned enterprises subcontracted on the works, and over 240 youth individuals were employed on site. At Avoca, it was 2 enterprises and over 220 individuals on site. And at Oceans, 3 youth-owned enterprises and over 650 individuals working on site. And Giba Business Estates, it's been 280 individuals on site. So all of these opportunities are accessed through CLOs, social facilitators, and the ward councillors. I'm just gonna shine the spotlight on West Town in Shongweni. The empowerment strategies that were used, there were employment opportunities in the form of construction jobs, and permanent jobs as well once West Town Square started trading. There were also subcontracting opportunities through CPG provisions. Skills development, there's a West Town Training Center, which basically provides construction-related skills training programs to the locals of the area, and they do this through the Stefanuti Stocks Academy, Stefanuti Stocks being the main contractor on site. So at the end of the training program, an individual would receive a CETA accredited certification that they can use anywhere to seek for employment, so it increases your employability in the market. There's also share ownership. There's a community participation trust that owns some shares of West Town Square. So those shares are basically going to be used to plow back into the community through initiatives that are going to empower and lift the community. There's also a local empowerment consortium that consists of the various groups within the community, also including the youth. So the main purpose of this consortium is to ensure that there's a participation of local businesses and the local labor force as well in the development value chain. And then post-construction opportunities, there are trading opportunities within West Town Square and trading opportunities at the barn, which is also part of West Town Square. And the barn was specifically created or designed to empower local small-scale traders. So these are some of the pictures of the West Town training site, which opened in April. The training center is based on site within the vicinity of West Town Square. This is a picture of the first group of trainees at the West Town Training Center. Another picture of the first group of trainees learning theory related to the simulator training. There's also a simulator machine on site that's used to train the individuals. So to date, 150 trainees have qualified at the West Town Training Center through the skills development programs. So they walked away with certifications in plumbing, bricklaying, any other construction-related skills. Here's a picture of a graduation ceremony that was held at the West Town Training Center. This is just a picture of the bond that I spoke of earlier. Okay, so our future plans, we have catalytic projects in the pipeline for the current financial year. At the implementation stage, it's basically the continuation of bulk infrastructure upgrades required to support the Avoca Node development, Giba Business Estate, Shongweni or West Town, and the Konubia mixed-use development. Then we also have at a planning stage the Centrum redevelopment and the Virginia Airport site, which are in the process of appointing developers to redevelop the sites. Okay, part of our future plans include providing youth empowerment opportunities through the entire life cycle of the various catalytic projects. So at planning phase and at design phase, we then have sub-consulting opportunities for professional services, mentorship and skills transfer opportunities in the form of internship programs. And then at implementation phase, we continue with our subcontracting through CPG provisions and also employment opportunities. So the opportunities would be shared with the public as and when they become activated. So thank you so much. That's all from me today.
Thank you very much, Mbali. Succinct and to the point, we appreciate that. And get yourselves juggling, because I will ask you who knows what catalytic projects is. Leadership, there's an observation here, and I want young women to see this. From the start of the program to now, have you seen the number of women that have come to this podium? We are on the eve of celebrating Women's Month. As the leadership and the administrative executives that have come here to the podium. But more so, it's telling you something as young women here, that they are paving the way for you. The question is, what are you doing? Are you preparing yourself to take advantage of what ultimately will be yours tomorrow? Will it find you ready and able? These are the questions you have got to answer. We will have a conversation. But leadership, thank you very much. I think it bears testament to the work around transformation and women empowerment, and I think we've got a lot to celebrate as we move to Women's Month. And again, let me ask another female to come to the stage, representing engineering, Unoktula Mkwepe. Give her a round of applause. An engineer does not look like an alien. Well prepared and a beautiful lady. This is what they look like. They look like you, and so do take note, do engage them, and please, next year, ngifuna 7 billion, kube kuphakamisa ama-laydown, we've claimed our stake in that 7 billion. Thank you very much. Over to you, Noktul.
All right. Thank you, Program Director. Just going to greet everyone, SCM officials, SCM leadership, and the youth, or what I've heard as Intanga Zethu. This is us, it's our day. As introduced, I am representing engineering. Now, engineering incorporates different number of things. Even as you walk out of here today, if you see people painting a building, that is us. If you see people fixing the sidewalk, fixing the paving on the sidewalk, that is us. If you see somebody pushing a wheelbarrow with sand, that is us. If you see a big construction where there are roads, bridges, etc., that could be us, could be us. So what I'm trying to show you is that no work is too big or too small for us. And we enjoy every part of it. There's a lot of sweat, there's a lot of labor intensity, and there's a lot of hard work. We do sleep, I promise, but we work very hard. I'm going to go to the next slide because I just want to show you how we are structured. There's a lot of writing, and I envy the previous speaker because she had pictures. But we've got quite a few departments, or divisions rather, which is architecture. Architecture is where abadwebi. I tried to explain that to my parents a while back when I told them I'm going to be an architect. They couldn't say it, they couldn't pronounce it. Sometimes they would say architect, but we draw. We draw, but once we draw, we create a plan, and once we've done that, we get through the procurement process, which is why we're here today. That has been explained in so many levels. Okay, then we've got survey and land information department. You've seen them with the tripods as you're walking down the street pointing, and you're thinking, what are they doing? That's what they do. Development engineering, they also focus on paving and beautifying our roads. That's one part of engineering. Then we've got another side of engineering, which is the roads provision. They widen and help our roads look better. And then we've got the roads and stormwater maintenance, which I will speak about later because they've put such awesome and amazing initiatives. And then we've got coastal stormwater and catchment. It rains a lot in Durban, you've seen. Every time it rains, we're thinking, we're praying very hard, but these are the guys who help us to unblock those things. As I indicated, no work is too small or big for us. We've got different ways of procuring. SCM keeps us accountable. SCM makes sure that our processes are fair and that there's an opportunity for everyone. And today, obviously, we are about the youth. So we've got projects that are under 750,000, which have been spoken about previously through our SSS system. Please do go to the speaker and get more information. I mean, they did a nice presentation here to show us the step-by-step. Those are our projects that we do that are below the 750 mark. Then we do have projects that are over 750 that we do. My slide indicates some of the different projects that we do and the budgets that have been allocated to those projects. Then another way, as I indicated, SCM does keep us accountable. So one of the things that we do, we've got contracts that we have in place where we would go out to tender, word that you've heard. We go out to tender and we invite everyone publicly, basically, to come and bid and say, hey, I am available to do this work because I have the skills, in terms of what obviously has also been indicated as CIDB registration and all the other things that the speakers have indicated as very important. At times we've got panels that we use. Now in a panel, we'll invite and vet and we'll different groups of people based on the type of work that we're doing. And then at times those panels will run for 3 years, that's 36 months. And the reason why we have that is because we've identified the problems that we have as a city and the needs that we have. Sometimes we need to find ways to fast track the works that we do. And SCM has helped us in that, in making sure that we don't stay away from policies that have been created. So we have quite a few different panels, which I won't really go into here. Maybe after that, you can come and speak to me about the different panels that we have. And then within those panels, we've got embedded CPG, which I'll also speak about. This is just to show some of the plans that we've created. In the city, we've got what is considered a procurement plan, where we look at projects that are still at planning. Remember, I said architects, they draw and they plan. And then they get to a point where they have to start their procurement processes. And we actually measure and track all those processes because then we know that in this year we planned. So we have projects that are at SCM to start. And then eventually, as the year progresses, we move into SCM in progress. Those are now projects that are already at procurement. We would have been invited you to come and bid for those projects. And then putting that on the side where SCM is non-required, that would be those projects that are at 750,000. So those are not, we don't require that SCM process is indicated because there's a different system for those. And then we hope that in the next year, because as you saw in my previous slide, our budgets are allocated in 3-year volumes. So we would then complete our SCM process, we start the works on site. What happens then? We've also indicated the slide to just show some of the approaches we have with our processes. And we always follow the price and preference approach, where we look at different aspects of ownership in terms of your businesses. Gender plays a big role. There are percentages on points allocated to female ownership in a business. Race is also something that we do focus on, and that would be Black ownership. And then disabilities, companies that have that, we also look at those. And I think one of the things that we actually challenged by today is that, hey, we've got these 3. Yes, youth is embedded in all these 3 components, but maybe as indicated by the previous speaker and the one before that, that maybe it is high time that we actually start to have a focus on purely just youth so that we can direct them. Because now already with these 3 different options, they're already having to bid against other people. Community participation goal, this is now where we are on the ground. One of the important things that we do, we put a percentage of our work, and works that are over 10 million, there is a stipulation of a 30% CPG component. The CPG component is where we introduce other contractors. We'll have a main contractor that we would have given the job to actually implement, but they are now accountable to us as the department that is implementing the job, and for us to be able to report to SCM and say, of this 10 million plus job, the 30% CPG component is in this way. We report that maybe for a CPG, for a project where we're building an office block, for instance, and that will take certain jobs, depending on the specialty that are required, and we will provide that 30% to subcontractors. And our focus with those is always ward-based, and if we don't find the skills within that ward, we move to adjacent wards, but we really focus more on the eThekwini Metro, or the eThekwini surroundings. So if sometimes it's, I think I do need to explain this, sometimes it may not necessarily be the work. We also provide the opportunity to supply materials. I've indicated it there, to supply materials and support the services. So you might say, hey, I'm not really skilled in this particular area, but I can bring material to you. I can provide brickwork. I can provide cement or things like that. So we do offer that opportunity depending, again, on the skill and the items required in creating that infrastructure. I just want to focus on what roads provision does, because they're actually one of our structures within engineering, because they've actually showed to have done quite a number of initiatives. And what they do with their procurement plan is to actually come up with a medium-term procurement strategy, targeting infrastructure rehabilitation, roads upgrades, and sometimes roads are moved from gravel to surface, and we widen roads sometimes, improve intersections, and indicated our contracts sometimes go from a cycle of 6 months to 36 months, just to align with the multi-year rehabilitation, because we know that there's a constant need to improve and do better with all the challenges that we have as a city that we're all aware of in terms of weather. As a division, we actually ensure that we align with the national policies. BBE Act, Triple BEE Act is quite important, and that is our mandate. And the main thing is to ensure that we incorporate opportunities for everyone within this planning, procurement, and implementation, not just roads infrastructure, but all the works that we do. And projects are often packaged in a manner that they are inclusive to community-based and youth-run micro contractors, especially, as I've indicated, that are labor-intensive. One of the things that, if you all live in the city, some of the things that we do, and this is purely from the division that I'm in, is we've got a road that we're calling a corridor that we're actually trying to really improve and look better. And sometimes we incorporate things like artwork, saying that this is the mural, this is part of our landscaping that we're doing. Come in, artist, come in, paint this wall. So we want to make sure that even for such things, as much as we are in construction, we include the youth, and youth who's better in the understanding of art than the youth when it comes to that expression. And then another thing that they've done in the roads provision is to just have a major role in the development of the youth and then their construction business. They've got support mentorship, and they've got departments that enable youth enterprises to transition from small or micro scale to fully fledged contractors. And that's part of what even our CPG plan does, because you come in as a lower or 1 GB, 1 CE contractor, and the role that we want when we introduce you to a main contract is that you would grow, and at the end of the project, at least, you must be at a better space. And this is what then brings us to us having recognized that sometimes our developments or our engagements with the youth is very short in terms of the time that we allocate, and we need to find ways that we can actually make sure that we introduce our works that we do to be more long-term and engage with you better, because once we finish a project, we hope that you would have grown, but then there's no other initiative to ensure that you are then at the next level, which I think is what I've found very interesting in this conference that we have today with this workshop, because now you're given the information and the skills and the opportunities that are there in order for you to not just stay within one position, but just grow. And then I wanted to actually speak about this. This is roads and stormwater maintenance example of youth focus initiative. I will say it very slowly. Labor intensive, labor intensive, labor intensive, labor intensive maintenance of stream and stormwater channels. This is to ensure that all watercourses in eThekwini are brought to an appropriate standard and they are maintained at that standard. We want to safeguard communities from hazard in watercourses and enrich natural environment at eThekwini. There's been a use of social enterprises for implementation, addressing all the social and environmental problems. The budget I have included the budget. It is indeed true. We've got 45 million. The number of jobs, 848 out of 106 businesses. The skills that have been acquired through this initiative is project management, alien and vegetation identification, your understanding of first aid, occupational health and safety administration in the areas of Umlazi, Dozuma, Kwamashu, and Inanda. We have submitted a report to council so that we can include 20 other businesses within this initiative. Back to roads and stormwater, because they're one of our champions when it comes to this, and I think some of our divisions have indeed been challenged. Roads and stormwater, roads provision division continues to mainstream youth empowerment by creating enabling environments for youth-owned businesses and participate meaningfully in the procurement of goods and services. And I think I've indicated this earlier, that we have indeed been challenged in that while we have these structures and opportunities and strategic partnerships, we want to aim to shift for youth from like short-term engagements to long-term enterprise sustainability. Then I'd like to speak about the impact of contract participation goals on companies owned by the youth. So there are quite a few transformative impacting youth-owned companies, and especially in the infrastructure division. And what our framework can do is to structure mentorship and arrange it such that youth companies work alongside the companies. We have quite a few of these as well. So the youth subcontractor can be exposed to project management systems. They can be companies work alongside big companies. We have quite a few of these as well. So the youth subcontractor can be exposed to project management systems. They can be exposed to health and safety compliances, and they can also grow in the payment certification processes, because that is indeed where we found how you create an environment for your company where you can be paid for the service that you've provided. These goals have significantly contributed to the emergence and growth and formalization of the youth and the roads and roads and stormwater maintenance. They provide a structure entry point, accelerated skills development, and help business resilience. However, stronger enforcement, post-contract support, and financial safeguards are necessary to maximize and sustain this impact. So now I've spoken about businesses and all of that engineering, but you're asking me, but Nokuthula, some of us don't even have the qualifications. How do we get part of that? Because you find at times you want to get to that role, but there's really no opportunity. So one of the things that we do as architecture is that we work with our EMA, with EMA, which is like an academy for education, and there are quite a few internships that have been established, and in service placement within the department. We are very much about assisting graduate programs and ensuring that students who are fresh from university come into our department so that they can earn some experience and learn different roles. And one of the things that we have within our department is a group of architects. We've got quantity surveyors, we've got structural engineers, we've got mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, urban designers, and landscape architects. And we want to actually, we are very much passionate about that. As it stands, through Catalytic, we've got 7 public employment interns working under our supervision. They are purely in the architecture and in the quantity surveyor sectors. And the other thing, now that I've become, you're talking about university, but how do I then get a bursary to even be at university so that I can get to be at this level that we're discussing? That is through EMA bursaries, the built environment, included but not limited to some of the different professions that I've mentioned earlier. And you'd have to look out for those adverts. They do come annually, and to students studying, obviously, within the recognized universities. Thank you.
A beautiful presentation, Nokuthula. Another round of applause. Uyamzwa nje yebo, uyiphethe le knowledge. Uya freestyle, uthe labela. I hope some of the young women are inspired to do more. Okay, so here's the deal, ne? Lunch is 5-7 minutes away, but I see a lunch in without 5 quality questions minimum. So we now come to Q&A. You will have first heard the presentation from Umezandile Stole. It would have been followed by the colleagues Unomti Nolindo. You would have heard Babu Tenza. You would have heard Umbali from Catalytic Projects, Nokuthula Nolindo. You would have heard Babu Tenza. You would have heard Umbali from Catalytic Projects, Nokuthula. Now the opportunity is for you to start to pose, comment by showing mics ready. I'll take the first set of 5 hands. I've got 2 at the back, and I've got the 3rd, 4th, and 5th in that fashion. So we'll start with the lady and behind her. That will be 2nd. The gentleman in the powder blue coat will be my 3rd. And then the gentleman, I think, with the red cap, and behind him will be 4 and 5. in that order. Go for it. If my speakers could then be attentive, we'll capture the questions, and then once they are all asked, they can then take turns in giving a response. Please introduce yourself, state if you are an entity or an aspiring one, and then get your question.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Uenhle Ngobo from Blue Card Supplies. I started off as just supply and delivery. Over time, my commodities have changed. Well, I've added other commodities. My first question is for Umama Lo Mhlophe Muhle, compliance. I wanted to find out about deregistration of a company. Is it possible to re-register the company as a deregistered? If so, how long is the process? What is the process? And upon re-registration of your company, is it important that you declare certain information to comply? My second question is for beneficial ownership. I was trying to submit beneficial ownership here, but I had a few discrepancies in my end, but then file documents. These delivered an error message. So I didn't understand why was that happening. The third question is just a hypothetical question or situation rather. So I didn't understand why was that happening. The third question is just a hypothetical question or situation rather. Is there a platform where you can report non-payment? So if we go to 7 Wednesday and our poly,
and I'm the founder of Tropical Paradise Smoothie Bar. If business we agro-processing space, at the same time we distribute our products that was agro-processed through our mobile smoothie bars. The problem that we're solving is inking ukuthi abantu nje lana eThekwini banekinga ukuthi abanayo access yokudla healthy, which then leads or drives easily for chronic illnesses after type 2 diabetes, which are preventable with the excess and ukudla healthy, ukudla nama fruits and vegetables. So imbuzo yami but it's regarding that. So the first question is market access within of which I needed like a space and I was found on a mobile smoothie bar and then offer the smoothies. But then what apply. However, they are only taking ice cream. Ice cream you can type 2 diabetes, but I'm sure the only people who can apply are big corporations of Ola and business owner, even though we're formal, everyone's trying to business, Tropical Paradise Smoothie Bar is it's like a whole branded business, it's a concept. And it's something that can actually compete with big corporations of all. But then, as you as well as what all the normal now was business, Africa, so in the case like how do we then get assistance, or who do we talk to ensure we see and then it was always speed, it was a speed, it was still in the catering, I'm a healthy wellness catering. And most of the time when companies are looking for suppliers who are going to supply them with the products that we're selling, but like companies or healthy wellness program. So in the case whereby we niche and we are going to buy food and however, they're looking for those including the psychology, how do we then go on about
Good afternoon, everyone, honorable guests and fellow attendees, Program Director, Mr. Dima, esteemed members of the eThekwini Municipality and distinguished guests. My name is Muzo Oktula. I'm a director of Gugule Nhlakanipho Construction, company based at Umzinyati, part of Inanda. My question, Program Director, are specifically designed as an opportunity for the municipality to advertise itself and to self-evaluate as well. So, Isifiso Sami, Program Director, today was to walk out kule workshop yanamhlanje with lezi zinto lezi engizo-mention. Program Director, bengifisa ukuthi kube ne-platform, right, where we know for sure that if we visit kule platform, we will get all the details required for the post or a position. Because currently, we are facing ama-platforms amaningi whereby uthola nezinto eziyi-fake kuyona, and then we can be scammed and kuningi okwenzakalayo. Okay, so okunye mhlampe Program Director, isifiso sami ukuthi mhlampe kule website yakamasipala wethiko singakwazi uku-incorporate wonke ama-stakeholders into one website whereby with just a click of a button you bhala wethiko. Singakwazi uku-incorporate wonke ama-stakeholders into one website whereby with just a click of a button you can leadership. I-website iyodwa encryptiwe, of which iyenza abantu ama-hackers nama-scammers babe ne-access to information yethu, bagcine besendela izinto eziyi-fake esingakwazi uskemeka kuzona, and kuningi okwenzakalayo ngenxa yokuthi i-website itself isadinga uku-upgradewa noku-updatewa. Ebeko yesibili leyo. Eyesithathu, leadership, i-question le iqonde ngqo ku-SCM, eThekwini SCM, ukuthi wona-ke i-system enjengo-SSS is-secured enough, i-question leyo, ngokuthi so that in future, because siyazi everything is going digital and everything is artificial now, and iyiphi indlela abayenzayo to make sure that as we move to that age technology, that our information is secured. Okay? Sengizogoqa leadership, bengithanda futhi if I walk out today ngithole kumasipala ukuthi ama-corporate noma ama-private companies anjengama-banks nama-institutions